Yes.
Welcome to Talk to Us. Today's program is focused on how to introduce yourself like an American. And I'm Alex Villarreal, your host for today. We're going to start out just talking about the difference between formal introductions and informal introductions. So if you're meeting friends, you might say, "Hey, how you doing? It's so great to meet you." Very informal, or what we also call casual kind of talking. But if you meet someone who might be your boss at work, you want to be more formal, more respectful with your introduction. So you might say, "Hello, I'm Alex." I would say, "I'm Alex Villarreal. It's a pleasure to
Yes.
meet you." So if I were to meet you, let's say, out in a restaurant with a group of friends, how would you introduce yourself to me?
Today I introduce myself to you. My name is I come from Vietnam and I stay Ho Chi Minh City. I am a student. Uh, I happy that I can practice English every day. Um,
The way that you just introduced yourself, where you said my name is, and you talked about what you're doing, that you're a student, that would be a way that you might introduce yourself if you were in a group setting. If you were in a public setting and you wanted to say, to stand up and they ask you to tell a little bit about yourself, that would be the perfect kind of introduction that you would use there. So that was very good practice. Do you have any
Yes.
questions about English or about introducing yourself and how you would do that if you were here in the United States?
If I'm in United States, when I meet my friends, then I start, hello, this is Mr. Sanan. How are you? And I ask about him. Who
Yes.
are you? Who are you? Where are you from? And
Yes.
I give information about myself and achieve information from them.
Exactly. And that is the perfect way to introduce yourself. It's very much an exchange, a conversation, and asking questions is great. And some of the ways that we greet each other, you can vary, like we talked about, based on who you're speaking to. So you can say, "Hey," instead of "hello," you can substitute "hey" for "hello." So you can try it. Say, "Hey, how's it going?"
This is informal. When we speak to professional person, then we use formal language. If we meet
Yes.
our friends,
Yes.
then we say, yeah,
Yeah,
hello.
you're right. You have to vary it based on who you're talking to because you don't want to go up to someone who might be your professor or who might be your boss and say, "Hey,
Yeah,
what's up?" They're going to be like, "Hey, like,
yeah.
don't talk to me like that. You need to talk to me in a professional way." So it's good that you know that difference. So in your own language, are there different words that you use when you introduce yourself to a friend versus when you talk to a coworker or a boss?
Yeah, in fact, there are different words in that, like different stages with when you meet for the first time with different people. So different categories of introductions in our own language.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same thing in English. And it's interesting too because some of the phrases that you might hear that you might read about, some of them are either old fashioned or they might be more British English, like "top of the morning to you." Those types of phrases here, we don't say that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so here we say more. We say "good morning" or "hey, good morning." A lot of "hey" is very casual, so that's like a substitute for "hello." So that's something that we say as Americans that differs maybe from introductions in English in other places that speak English.
The question was, what is the difference between how are you and what's up?
Right. And so the difference between "how are you" and "what's up" is a matter of formality. So "how are you" and what's up mean basically the same thing, but how are you is the phrase that you want to use, the question you want to ask in a formal setting when you're talking to a boss, or when you're maybe going to somewhere where, like a store, when you're talking to people that you don't know well and that aren't familiar with you. They're not friends, they're not potential friends, they're not part of your peer group. Then what's up is how you might greet someone who's a friend of yours, like, hey, what's up? Or someone who is in your peer group, maybe they're a fellow student, or they're someone that you're meeting for the first time with a group of friends. You want to use what's up. We were also talking about, in your country, are there those differences as well in how you introduce yourself? If you were going to introduce yourself to a friend versus greeting a professional acquaintance, someone that you work with, is there a difference in the language that you'll use in Arabic?
There is no difference.
There's no difference.
That's interesting. There is only one way.
There's only one way. So that's
one way, yeah.
That's very different than here in the United States when people are speaking English, because there are many different ways. And you can say, with with one person you might say, good morning, how are you? With another person you might be like, yo, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. It's a much more informal, casual way of speaking. So that's very interesting, which makes sense as to why English can be a very complicated language, because it does have these differences that might not be found in your own language. Today on Talk to Us, our topic is how to introduce yourself like an American. So we're talking about the differences between informal and formal settings.
Yeah, I think that in American we should avoid ask about questioner question. For example, their age, their economy, and that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. That's a really good point, is that when you're introducing yourself or when you're meeting someone for the first time, you don't want to bring up topics that might be sensitive. And here in the US, there are a lot of women who don't like to talk about their age, so you're right about that. And the economy is always a sensitive topic. People don't like to talk about that either. So that's a really good point in introductions, is not just the words you use, but also the topics that you bring up.